The Arab and China Summit seeks to foster mutual interest and development. Houthi militia intensifies attacks on oil ports to pressure the government. On International Human Rights Day, Houthis continue to commit violations against Yemenis. Good evening. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. I'm Abir Ali and you're watching the English news. The chairman of the Presidential Council, Rashad Al-Alimi, called for a joint Arab-Chinese strategy that guarantees protection of the international peace and security. In his statement before the Arab-China Summit, Al-Alimi stressed the need to push the Houthi militia to prevent Iranian interference in the internal affairs of two countries. The president affirmed that the summit, the first of its kind, will represent an opportunity to achieve progress, prosperity, development for the Arab world. Saudi Arabia hosted the first Arab world and China yesterday. According to some observers, the summit represents an important step for the Arab world to broaden their ties with the East after decades of turbulent relations with the West. This report has more.
During the closing ceremony of the Arab-Chinese Summit, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman reiterated the resolve of the Arabs to strive for their progress and prosperity. On Friday, the Crown Prince closed the Riyadh Arab-China Summit for Cooperation and Development at the King Abdulaziz International Conference Center in Riyadh, in the presence of Arab leaders, chiefs of delegation, and the President of China. He emphasized that the Arab nations and China's historical relationship is founded on mutual respect, friendship, and collaboration in various spheres. The summit stressed that the Arab world is watching China's steady growth and swift technical progress with bated breath, as it has risen to become one of the world's top economies. It also highlighted that in order for future generations to experience the desired prosperity, cooperation between Arab nations and the People's Republic of China in trade, investment, and financial sectors must continue. Saudi Arabia stated that it seeks to encourage international collaboration in order to solve the world's crises and to support global multilateral action within the framework of UN principles in order to establish a positive future for the people. As additional worldwide concerns such as food security and energy security emerge, it is critical to engage with serious efforts aimed at activating collective action. The summit emphasized that regional and worldwide growth necessitates stable and secure environmental, political, and social initiatives, and that the international community's efforts to solve regional and international concerns must be stepped up. Saudi Arabia also supports efforts to find a comprehensive political solution in Yemen to end the situation, and welcomes the People's Republic of China's support for Saudi initiatives in Yemen. Rashad Al-Alimi, the president of Yemen's Presidential Leadership Council, praised Saudi Arabia for hosting the summit, saying it presented a chance for growth, prosperity, and development by creating a single strategy for collaboration and unifying aspirations for long-term peace. Alimi emphasized that Yemen will keep working to bring about the comprehensive peace that the people desire.
United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights said that despite many crises in Yemen, solutions could be still found. On the International Human Rights Day, he stated that the conflict, which seems to have no end in Yemen, must be ended. He noted the importance of renewing and expanding the truce to enable discussions on the path towards a more comprehensive settlement. Houthi militias has intensified their attacks on key oil ports recently. They attacked different ports in Hadramaut and Shabwa. Such escalation is viewed by some observers as a way of pressuring the Yemeni government. This report has more details.
Last month, the Iranian-backed Houthi militia launched a drone attack on Hadramaut Dabba oil terminal. This was their second attack on this facility. The attack comes after the end of the 4-month UN truce, which the Houthis did not agree to renew. The risk of further attacks on oil ports and military targets remains high. On the other hand, the Houthi rejection to renew the truce shows their true colors of not wanting to engage in any peace efforts. The drone strike on Adabba oil port did not cause significant physical damage to the oil terminal's infrastructure. However, a tanker was forced to leave the port without taking on its shipment of oil exports from government-controlled territory. At the same time, the Houthis claim that they have the right to the financial and natural resources under their control. They make millions of dollars from the revenue generated by the Red Sea port of Hodeidah. Houthis also used the deteriorating safer oil tanker in the Red Sea as a form of power, refusing to allow the United Nations officials to inspect it. The UN recently reached an agreement with the Houthis to transfer the oil to another tanker in order to avoid a crisis. However, it's still unclear how the issue of sharing the tanker's resources will be resolved. The Houthis have monopoly control over importing commercial resources, allowing them to collect national revenues from land, electricity, water, and internet utilities, businesses, and telecommunications companies located in their territory. The Houthis' war effort is funded by diverting these cash streams, making it almost impossible for the rest of the Yemeni people to reach services like healthcare and education. Houthis are concentrating on oil and gas resources because they want to finance their power and capabilities in an area that is becoming more watched, especially because their traditional foreign patron, Iran, is dealing with internal upheaval. And finally, the United States of America and European countries condemned the Houthis' terrorist drone attacks by urging them to follow the international law.
A human rights organization monitored about 4,000 violations in Yemen since the beginning of 2022. SAM Organization for Rights and Freedom said that it monitored more than 4,000 violations, including child recruitment and arbitrary arrest. The organization stated that the Houthi militia topped the list of human rights violations this year with 2,580 violations. On the International Human Rights Day, Houthi militias continues to commit all kinds of violations against Yemenis. This report has more.
This year's slogan for Human Rights Day is dignity, freedom, and justice for all. Human Rights Day is marked annually on December 10th, the day the United Nations General Assembly established the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a landmark document that affirms the inherent rights that every human being is entitled to, regardless of race, color, religion, gender, language, political or other viewpoint, national or social origin, property, birth, or other position. Coinciding with the International Human Rights Day, the Justice and Equity Organization for Development and Human Rights held a human rights symposium entitled Delayed Death Under International Auspices.
The Houthis' policy entails the burning of land through planting landmines. These violations are documented both locally and internationally as war crimes, crimes of genocide, or crimes against humanity. It is essential to put pressure on the Houthi militia to hand over maps where they place the landmines in Taiz and other governorates. It is crucial too to provide immediate aid and assistance to areas affected by landmines and unexploded ordnances, and to add the culprits to the United Nations Security Council terrorist list.
In the symposium, a number of jurists and activists presented a number of working papers that summarized the Houthi violations against civilians, reiterating the need to hand over mine maps to stop the free death distributed by the militia.
The local and international community are aware that the Houthi militia are the only party guilty of using landmines in their military operations to murder Yemenis.
At the end of the symposium, the families of the deceased and injured mine victims signed a document of objection to the UN support provided to the Houthi mine layers and presented it to the President and members of the Presidential Leadership Council, the Council of Ministers, and representatives with the aim of demanding an investigation with the parties supporting the militia for planting mines and killing and wounding thousands of Yemenis.
أنا جميلة قاسم مهيوب طلعت أريد غنم رجعت كده أريه تبت الجراجير دعست بيد أول شيء بيد الرجل اليسار الثاني ما اسمه بادئ رقدت لفوق كده ما انفجر بس لعس كده هذا وبعدين حسيت زي اللهبة طلع بجسمي فعلا جسمي جلس كله عفاسق بعده امشي الدنيا ده كله وأنا مرتاح. الآن مانيش مرتاح وأنا جالسة. أثر علي كثير. كيف ما أثرش علي؟ حسيت بكل حاجة أنني ناقص كل شيء. لما تكون تمشي بنت رافع راسك وانت تمشي إن مش تمشي ما تحس بأي حاجة.
UNICEF announced the death of 15 Yemeni children and infection of 1,400 others with measles in 7 past months. The organization said that about 1,400 children in Yemen were suspected of being infected with measles in 7 governorates, including Aden. In this report, UNICEF indicated that it assisted the Ministry of Public Health and Population in Yemen in implementing a vaccination campaign for children in response to the outbreak. Youth Without Borders organization implemented a meeting to discuss the results of field studies on the issues and needs of local communities in Taz. The needs which have been reviewed are education, health, in addition to roads and transportation. The implementation of the round table aims to shed light on the results of the study and present them to those concerned in the local authority.
Today, we are implementing a roundtable discussion attended by representatives of official departments, and it aims to identify the current needs and issues of the citizens in Taiz. This initiative came after field visits to 17 directorates through a prepared team who worked on collecting data of the needs of every directorate in the governorate.
Coming next in the news. Hadi Ali is a displaced person who struggles to make a living to support his family amid the conflict.
ناس ندي ماء من الغلا والغلا بعيد، كنا ندي بالدواب نعبي ماء ورجعنا. ننزل الساعة 5 رجعنا الساعة 9.
ما يقلنا ظهر لأنه زحمة ما حد يخلي الجهل يغرف وإحنا تعبنا زيادة.
وكنت أحس صدري يوجعني وعز قلبك ركبي يوجعيني.
كنا ما نستخدم حتى نغسل أولادنا إلا يعني بأيام معدودة. كنت أغيب على المدرسة لأن كنت أروح الديمة.
حتى وإن كان يجي الأمطار تروح هدر لأنه ما في معي خزانة.
الوقت نشتري ب30,000 هي معها استهلاك ما يغلقش معها الشهر.
بس راح تطلب الله ولا أي حاجة عاملة كل شغلك علماء.
Welcome back. In their consistent quest to find a source of income, Yemeni women in Hais opened a bazaar of artifacts to provide families with chances to make a living. This report has more.
In the context of the struggle for living stability, women are fighting real battles to prove themselves in various fields. Despite the war repercussions, women in Hais district succeeded in overcoming the challenges and converting them into opportunities. Today in this bazaar, dozens of girls and women from Hais stand to review personal and collective successive stories after fighting battles with life and training, each according to the profession and specialization. Various products reflect the level of perseverance of each of them, in addition to the quality of what they offer, which can be known through the abundance of demand in the bazaar.
We held today a bazaar which is organized by Women in Hais Directorate in the context of supporting women and livelihoods. It was funded by the United Nations and it came amid the 16 World Days to resist violence against women.
Women highlight themselves today through the products and handicrafts they have created, such as sewing, perfume composition, and some accessories. As for the Tihamian folk heritage, it had a remarkable appearance by displaying some of the traditional handicrafts that have a special character which is rooted in the culture of the region.
All the products here were created by participants in For Human initiative. We have also here a section for handicrafts, and it is rooted in the culture of Hais.
The beneficiaries of the Protection and Livelihood Support Project participated in this bazaar after they took courses in the field of vocational training and economic empowerment in order to be able to manufacture and produce some products that contribute to improving the local market and provide self-sufficiency for those families. Such bazaars represent an opportunity to encourage and support such projects that contribute to improving the standard of living of productive families, in addition to introducing the culture of society and the ability of its sons to challenge circumstances and overcome difficulties.
The U.S. authorities seized 75 Yemeni artifacts stolen during an attempt to smuggle them to the United States. Yemen's ambassador praised the efforts of the U.S. State Department and the concerned authorities to activate the decision to protect Yemeni heritage. During his meeting with the U.S. Assistant Secretary, he made it clear that the Yemeni government appreciates the efforts of the U.S. security services. The 5th Women's Summit was held today in the interim capital Aden. The summit was organized by the Wujud Foundation for Human Security with support of the international partner under the slogan of "Our strength, our struggle, our efforts." The two-day summit came with the participation of 200 participants from political and social cultural spectrums. The Moroccan national team qualified for the semi-finals of the World Cup Qatar 2022. Morocco is the first Arab and African team to swallow the semi-finals of the World Cup after defeating Portugal. With the goal in the match, the Moroccan national team will meet in the Golden Square with the winner of the match that brings between France and its English counterpart. Norway announced the provision of an additional $1.7 million to the Yemen Humanitarian Fund. This came to support the Yemen Humanitarian Fund and 7 million Norwegian pounds to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. They added that more people need humanitarian assistance than ever before, and effective coordination of humanitarian assistance is essential. Domestic gas agents in Aden revealed corruption practiced by officials represented in the black of gas quantities arriving from Ma'rib to Aden. The agents said that officials at the Safer refinery in Ma'rib are working to convert the government rates locomotives to commercial sales instead of directing them to citizens in all government rates. They added that a new central station was opened 2 weeks ago in Aden with a production capacity of 26,000 domestic gas cylinders. The war has forced thousands of people to leave their homes and seek shelter in other safe areas. Mahdi Ali is one of those who had to leave his own place and come to Ma'rib. He started to sell pastry in order to support his family. More on Mahdi's story is within this report.
Mahdi is an old man trying to earn a living despite all the hardships he's facing. He settled down to live for 3 years in Ma'rib, after which he moved between many governorates under the control of the militia in search of a job that would secure a decent life for him and his family. But despite all his efforts, life only gets difficult day after day.
I used to work in Hudaida, then moved to Taiz. Then I went to Sana'a, and from there I came to Ma'rib. I started making kind of pastry or mutabbaqiyah. I make good money, even though at first I didn't have enough to buy the supplies I needed. But thank God, people come to me from everywhere.
Here in one of the streets of Ma'rib, Mahdi took this place to make bread pies known as tabaqiyah. This has also become a job that provides him with some income to be able to provide for his family.
He has a lot of people coming to him because he makes delicious food and he's very clean. People always come to him as he is very dedicated to his job. I came from Mujamma al Khair to Mahdi because al-mutabbaqiyah he makes is very delicious and clean. I come here every day to buy from him.
Mahdi isn't the only one affected by the difficult conditions caused by the war. There are many who have been suffering as a result of the conflict and the economic collapse, and also lost their jobs and are now without work. according to the World Food Programme. More than 17 million Yemenis are threatened by hunger as a result of the ongoing war, and the lives of Yemenis are still on the brink of an imminent humanitarian catastrophe.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. The Arab and China Summit seeks to foster mutual interest and development. Houthi militia intensifies attacks on oil ports to pressure the government. On International Human Rights Day, Houthis continue to commit violations against Yemenis. This is the end of the news. It was Abir Ali. Thank you for streaming with us.